morning. I'm Simon Susman, and I've been invited to the USB today to address the Leaders Angle, which is a series of breakfast presentations. And my talk will be on building a sustainable, value-based brand. And it is the story of Woolies. It's part of the story of Woolies, and it's part of Woolies' development of its value system. I'm going to talk about Woolies, and that's quite difficult because in and amongst the audience there are a whole bunch of Woolies people, so I have to not only talk about Woolies, I have to talk about the truth. Otherwise they will interrupt me as they do. What I'm not talking about is the business side of Woolies. But what I am going to talk about is the value system that drives what Woolies is, who Woolies is. Just to put some context to where I am in this presentation, this slide is the most unproduced slide in this country, and I fail regularly to understand why. And let me explain this slide. It's very simple. Grey equals absolute poverty, LSM 1 to 5, degrees of poverty. And the columns are 2001, 2005, 2010, and projected for 2015. That is an outstanding national success story, because out of this comes the next generation who are given a chance to grow and survive and build in the world. The Woolies business itself is just under 30 billion of revenue. We've got about 500 stores in South Africa, and in Africa is about 45, 50 in Africa, and the rest in South Africa. We did, until hopefully in 2 weeks' time, own 88% of Country Road. We'll own 100% of it. Country Road is about 6.5 billion rand of revenue. It's got 500, we say stores, outlets, because some of them are in departmental stores in Australia. Most of you, I hope, have seen Country Road stores in Woolies or in the malls here. And it's now comprises 4 brands: Woolies, Country Road, Trenery, a new brand called Witchery, which we bought here a couple of months ago, and Mimco. And we are in the process of completing the purchase of a departmental store chain called David Jones. So the group's got about 1,000 stores and a revenue of over 50 billion rand. It is now a big business. I think it was in the year 2000, that's 14 years ago, that Woolies opened its 100th store, Canal Walk. So things have changed. And for all of you in business, that is how fast change happens. So this is what we were. This is in the 50s, probably early 60s. For those of you who understand Woolies at the moment, it's very much a private label business. Most of our product is our own product, and we invest an enormous amount of technology, taste, passion into our private label. But if you look at this picture, again, look at the change. What is around the wall above the food market is Raadsal coffee, Prima, ek weet nie wat is Prima nie, maar seker 'n vleis of iets, and brands. So businesses change. What shouldn't change is the core value system of a business. So this is us today. Here's one of our more modern stores. This is the homeware section. This is a Country Road store, just giving the context. This is, I think, Constantia, one of our more modern food markets. In fact, Constantia is the top selling food market in the country. About 8 or 10 years ago, one of the directors on our board kept hammering me, saying, "Simon, you don't talk enough about what the business is." And I said, "But Brian, I do. We talk all the time about it. We talk in the meetings, we talk about it in the boardroom, we talk about it in the stores." He said, "Yes, you talk about it philosophically, but you don't encapsulate what you stand for." So we started to question ourselves. And the more we questioned ourselves, the more we began to see that there was a set of words that we kept coming back to. And those words were actually values. So we put them on paper. And the thing that I found the most fascinating about this is how old and simple these words were. There's nothing complex about quality and style. We talk in Woolies, those of you part of the Woolies family understand this deeply. We talk about quality and style all the time. We talk about value for money, value for our customers all the time. We talk about service all the time. And service isn't just, how do you do, ma'am, can I help you? Service is having the right goods at the right time in front of the customer. In today's world, that includes online. Everything shifts, but nothing changes. We talk about innovation constantly. We talk about integrity all the time, energy, and sustainability, which is the one I'll dwell on a bit later. But these values came out of the normal conversations of the business. But the power of encapsulating them, writing them down, and including them in documents, including them in presentations, including them in the normal conversation with people on the shop floor, in the buying departments, or in the distribution centers, is unbelievable. Many of these words were talked about in the 1950s and the 1960s. Unbelievably powerful. So where did they lead us once we'd done this? Well, is there a way of doing business that reflects those values deeply? And of course, the whole concept of sustainability, which is that bottom value, came right to the fore here. So you can use what's around you, or you can set out to add value and add back to what's around you. We then said, okay, fine, if we wish to do business in a way that adds value in a sustainable manner, let's measure ourselves on a set of targets. So each area of the business was challenged to set targets on all sorts of things: people development, community involvement, water usage, electricity usage, and I'm going to go through the graphs, but everybody had a target on everything for a 1-year period and a 5-year period. Those targets still pertain today. We initially set out 4 priorities for the good business journey. First was we had to look at ourselves as a community, our internal community, and we needed to transform. So first was accelerate transformation. Second was to look at the community around us. The transformation is internal. Look at the community around us. What more can we do for that community? The third and the fourth are fairly similar. How do we use less resources and shift that into adding back to the resources around us? So the values drive our 22,000 people. All of them equally are on some kind of incentive program. So here's the business saying, we want to guide your behavior in a way that rewards you. Of course, we're mostly black. What's happened in the last 5 years is that we are now well over 50%. Middle and senior management are now black. This is a bit out of date. On the social development side, much of Woolies' food is fresh. Much of Woolies' food has got a sell-by date on it, so that every night we take food off the shelves. That food we sell to our staff at half price, but they don't buy anything other than a small fraction of it. The rest we give away. And this year, that giveaway is 500 million rand. We do all sorts of other things. If our staff have projects, we have matching funds, which we encourage them to do. We are very active in the school system and the education system. We've got engaged with quite a lot of the curricula, particularly around the things that are passionate to us: design, nutrition, water saving. And then this one, which is lovely, is the Isikwama, which is where they produce the Woolies reusable bags. All done in South Africa, increasingly done with recycled polyester, which we help them with. So where I'm now getting to is nothing to do with that. he and a number of the other farmers got together. What was happening is, in producing the veggies for us, they were finding that their soil needed more and more fertilizer, more and more pesticide. They were depleting the soil. And one of them said, I've been doing some experiments. I've been putting old-fashioned compost back into my land. This is for commercial vegetable production. Old-fashioned compost back into the land. And my yields are going up. So we started a program of adding back to the land. And it's been the most remarkable program. We call it Farming for the Future. Soil conditions are improving. There are more bugs in the land. There are more worms in the land. We're able to rotate crops faster than we used to rotate crops. The carbon from the compost holds water, holds carbon. It's the most incredible thing. And these guys are saying, but this is how my grandfather used to farm. How can it be that the most modern farming technique benefits from the most ancient farming technique? But these farmers are adding back and it's working. But equally on the clothing side, this is a factory that we use in Madagascar. There's a big deforestation issue in Madagascar. They're planting their own forests to drive their own energy creation. They're using their own water. This is in Bangladesh, a Woolies supplier. Specifically designed the roof to capture water because of their water usage. On the climate side, lots of work. We now are not using the worst of the global warming, what's the word, greenhouse gases in our refrigeration, which is the most efficient. We use CO2. Our values drove this different thinking, our good business journey. These are the values. They have shifted how we do business. And I really think, I've only given you some examples, that we are doing business in a way that is different, and we are doing business in a way that adds back as much as we possibly can. But people challenge us and say, well, that's fine, that's all green, that's all goody-goody. What does it actually deliver? So here are our stats. We do well. We're gaining share of market. The business is growing. You've seen it. We're strong. You can do well for your staff. So we've got, I told you, 22,000 employees, 100% of them are incentivized, 10,000 of them are shareholders in the business. We have one of the lowest shrinkage, that's theft, I talked about that with the waste, figures worldwide. For the other stakeholders, we have twice in the last 3 years been nominated, not nominated, we have been told we are SA's most trusted brand. So the business is good, grows, does well. We are the most trusted brand in South Africa, 2 years out of the last 3. Internationally, in 2008, 2010, 2013, we were appointed the International Responsible Retailer of the Year. That's voted by the peers at the World Retail Congress. In 14 years, from 2.60 to 80 rand, and since the GFC, global financial crisis, 6 years ago, from 8 rand to 80 rand. So you can do business in a way that adds back as much as you possibly can to the world around you. And you can do well for your staff, for your customers, for your shareholders, and for the community around you. That's it. This is Eileenkie. Sy noem vir haar Blommetjie. Sy is in ons Claremont store, and she always says, I'm the number one, because she's the biggest flower seller in our chain. She really lives our values, and we believe that we can give deep value from our values, but that last 3 words, the journey never ends. That's what I have to say. Happy to take questions.